How many of you believe never give up? How many of you? Raise your hands. I can't see everyone, but raise your hands. Or any version of this. Winners don't quit. Quitters don't win. All of you? You know, it's a difficult question. If I was in the crowd, I would definitely put my hand up because I don't want to be seen as a winner or a quitter or a loser. Now, I'll give you my own perspectives in about a couple of minutes as we go through this talk. But before I do that, let me kind of actually talk a little bit about history. Now, I wanted to show you this bridge. This bridge is actually in a place called Montenegro. Now, about 2014, Montenegro wanted to be a financial hub. And so this is the time when there was a lot of hype about the Belt Initiative from China. So Montenegro decided that they wanted to become the financial hub, and to do this, they wanted to link Adriatic with Serbia. Right? It's about 161 kilometers of very, very difficult terrain, dense forest. But they decided that once this bridge came up, they would be able to create a lot of financial, and this eastern part of Europe needed a lot of, it could help do with money. So they decided to take out a loan. I think it was about 1/3 of their entire GDP and from China, and then they got started. As the bridge started in a couple of years, they started overrunning the cost. They started overrunning from a time. And in a couple of years, the entire money was spent. And the only way to continue this bridge and build this bridge was to take more loans from China. Now, luckily for them, a new prime minister came in. And once he came in, he got an independent committee to come in and do a risk-reward analysis. And they essentially scrapped the rest of the project. And so in January of this year, a 41-kilometer stretch costing $1 billion was built. And the rest of the bridge is now, we don't know what's going to happen to it. Most likely, it'll never be built. Now, why am I talking about all this? The question is, why did it take Montenegro such a long time to figure this out? There's many reasons, but one of the reasons that I believe is essentially what we call the sunk cost fallacy. So what is sunk cost fallacy? Now, sunk cost fallacy essentially is when an individual or an entity puts in a lot of effort, time, money, energy into something, in a project or an endeavor. And after putting in all this, in spite of getting a lot of insights and data that the project is not really going according to plan, or the thing is not going according to plan, they still believe that it is extremely important to put more time, energy to finish it, to complete it, somehow get it done, see it through, even if it costs more. So you must all be wondering, Amir, that's okay, the bridge and all of that, what does it mean for us? Now, I'll give you a simple example. How many of you have been to a movie theater? Raise your hands. How many of you have been to a movie theater? Most of you have been to a movie theater. How many of you actually have sat in a movie which was really horrible? Then you realize this after 15 minutes. The movie was really bad, right? But you sat through the movie. You finished the movie. Then you came out. Yeah? How many of you have done that? Many of you have done that, right? Some of you are brave people who walked out of the movie theater. But many of us have actually sat there watching this movie. Now, I am one who did that. And so I asked myself, why did I do that, right? And I came out of the movie theater, I complained to everyone, hey, you know what, this is a horrible movie. I wasted so much of time in this, and don't go, it's a time waster. But even after knowing, I still sat through the 90 minutes. Now, I asked myself, why? Why did I do that? And why I did that for me, when I went into the movie theater, I already spent 300 rupees of the ticket. I had driven down, I'd taken the car, driven down, parked it, went up the mall, bought popcorns, and I'm sitting there. And I'm sitting there, I was like, anyway, I'm here. Why not finish the whole thing and then go, right? So this essentially, ladies and gentlemen, is sunk cost fallacy. Now, let me shift a little bit, right? So about 6 weeks back, one of my ex-bosses, I'd worked with him a long time back, and he has been appointed as one of the senior VPs for a large financial institution. And in this role, he's taken on as the head of business transformation. And as he took on this role as the head of business transformation, he called out to me. He said, Amir, why don't we talk? And as soon as I heard this as a consultant, I was like really excited. Yeah, this is an opportunity to get into one of those organizations and start doing a lot of work. I went to his office very quickly, set up an appointment, went to his, and I was really excited to meet him. And then as he sat down, he walked me through the organization's plans, and this is quite an elaborate thing, right? So they had invested quite an amount of money. So they wanted to actually transform this organization in about 3 years, and he had put up a plan in terms of talking about, agile deployment, agile mindset, DevOps deployment, and a lot of all this. They had an architecture roadmap for 3 years, and I was really impressed because it's a lot of work that we could go out and implement, and I could participate. Then out of curiosity, I asked him, so why are we doing this right now? What is the genesis of doing this right now? What's the background? And as he spoke about it, right, as he spoke about this, what he told me was that actually, you know what, this is not new. About 6 years back, the CEO had gone in front of the shareholders and the board and had actually talked about how the financial institution was going to transform the way it interacts with the clients, and how they're going to reduce the cost of the organization, how they're going to increase productivity, how they're going to make it leaner, and all of those good things that he had spoken about. So 6 years then, after that, they brought in a new vice president, started off this entire journey. They put in $1 billion as the investment to do this. And then started the first 2 years, not a single project that was started was in line with where it should have been in 3 years. So what happens in these organizations? You fire the exec. So he got fired. So as he moved out, a new person came in to take on the role. As he did, he started rebranding. He got in a lot of vendors. He got in a lot of consultants. He did a lot of pilots, AI, machine learning, all of those. And about 6 months back, he kind of could not make too much of dent in the whole thing, and he himself left the organization. And that's where my ex-boss took on this new role. So as I was sitting there with him, I started wondering what was going on in this organization. Now, this is a large financial organization, very progressive leaders, really, really smart people, and they understand the power of technology, and that is the reason why they're investing $1 billion in the company. But what was going wrong? And I started relating back to my own experience of what was happening in my firms when and I realized that it was extremely similar. I was also there doing similar things for the last 10 years. But as I sat outside and I started looking in, I started realizing that maybe this was not a problem with that executive. Maybe it was not a really problem, because it's probably the problem in the way the organization is looking at its entire strategy. Instead of looking at doing agile, doing transformation within the technology, maybe they need to look at, and I'm a lean guy by heart, so I look at things and look at value streams. What are really the customers looking for? What are the things that really will make a dent in the way the customers interact with the bank? And I started asking this question to my boss, and he said, yeah, it's a good point. Why don't we talk to my boss? And then we went and started having this conversation with his boss. And here's when the exciting thing started happening. He said, no, Amir, we've kind of done the good work. We've already put in a lot of effort. We are very, very close. The first two execs were not really great because of networking. They couldn't take the team together and all of that stuff. And then it started occurring to me what the challenge is. When we hit this problem, when we hit this sunk cost fallacy problem, what really happens with us is that we start thinking about the 3 feet from gold syndrome. What is the 3 feet from gold syndrome? Many of you would have heard about a miner who went to dig. He knew that there was gold underneath the land. So he started digging. 10 feet, 20 feet, a lot of excitement. Yes, yes, 30 feet, 40 feet, more excitement. Yeah, let's do it, let's do it. 50 feet, 60 feet, excitement comes down. 70 feet, frustration. 80 feet, really deep frustration. 90 feet is like, oh no, this is not going to happen. 100 feet, he stops digging. He's like, it doesn't work, I'm not going to do it. And he sells the land to another guy. The new buyer starts, and he digs 3 feet, and he finds gold. So the organization is thinking they are in this syndrome. Oh, no, last bit, last 3 feet, we will get the gold. We will reach the transformation space. But there's a difference, my friend. There's a difference between the 3 feet gold and a dead end. And we need to understand whether it's a 3 feet gold or a dead end. Yeah? So, sorry. Can you just pick it up? Yeah, so essentially what happens is, the difference between that is there is, a temporary fault, right? 3 feet gold is a temporary fault. A dead end is a permanent one. Now let me give you an example of a 3 feet gold in our own life, right? I go and start learning keyboard. As I start learning keyboard, I will be excited. But after a point, the hand and mental motion will not work. So I will have to go through a more deeper, more difficult journey. As we go through that journey, only then we will reach mastery. So this is one thing that most people, most organizations sometimes don't realize about it, and they go and think they are doing this. Actually, when you sit out and look at it, they are repeating the cycle, putting in more effort, more energy, but the output is same. Yep. So I have a simple, so what does it mean for all of you folks? Right? I want a simple action for each and every one of you today. I want you to go back home whenever in the evening, when you have 15 minutes, I want you to take an A4 paper. And I want you to write down with a pen, what is that one thing that you are struggling with for a long time? It could be anything. It could be your career. It could be your studies. It could be your business. It doesn't really matter, right? It could be any one of those things. Write it down. For example, if you're in a career and you're working in long time and you're not getting the promotion, you've been trying harder, instead of spending 9 hours, you're going and spending 12 hours. Go back, write down this. If you are a business person who is actually running a business and you're seeing, okay, I'm doing 3 crores of business. For the last 5 years, I'm doing 3 crores of business with 7% margin. Go back and write down. Once you write down this, I want you to take a look at what's going right and what's not going well. Right? Write it down. And then gather some data around it. Find some data around it to say, how long has this been going on? What are the things that I'm trying to do? Has this yielded result? Write it down. As you do that, you will start realizing and understanding whether it is a 3 feet from gold problem or is it a dead end. Is it something that is not going to really ever change? Yeah? After you do that, I want you to talk to someone who is a person who is not, it can be anyone. It can be a coach. It can be a mentor, it can be a consultant, it can be someone that you really know very well, but who is honest and willing to give you an honest feedback. Please understand that honesty is the key over here. And as you look at this, and as you work through this, I can tell you one simple thing. As you start this activity, you will start and feel the light flutter of a butterfly wing. Give it 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you will start realizing the impact of the butterfly effect in your own lives. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.